I'm Sid, and these are my best friends. My mom, Kim, my dad, Ty, my sister, Maddie, and our salty dog, Stella. We started our adventure refitting a Lagoon 450 before taking on the massive project of resurrecting a sunken 2021 Leopard 50. It's been one heck of a ride, but we're on this adventure to die with memories, not dreams, and live dauntless.
How much wire do you think was in this Leopard 50? Put it into your best guess. Leave a comment down below. We're gonna take this to the recycling center and weigh it and see how much we actually have. Okay, go.
Can you see me?
All right, so we tore out all the wire in the boat.
Wiring.
All the heavy gauge cabling, low voltage, every last piece of insulation that had copper in it is out of the boat. And so we're having bets on how much it weighs. And I think I think Josh might think there's more. All right, go ahead.
No, we did the Price is Right action. So Sydney has the guesses.
I do.
You are the first 4 contestants on The Price is Right.
Josh said 450 pounds.
Okay.
Dad said 392. Maddie said 386. And Mom said 451.
In true Price is Right fashion.
Price is Right
know.
fashion. Okay, how much, not the transformer, just the wire, how much did the wire weigh?
You're all wrong. The wire weighed 598 pounds.
I said I was going to be over 500,
Wow,
didn't I?
good job, Kim.
I did, but I said in
So-
true Price is Right fashion, I had to go $1 above the highest bid.
We
And
got
the monster transformer weighed how much?
183 pounds.
That's it?
What do you think it weighs? 200?
Yeah, 200 pounds. Maybe it's 250.
Yeah.
It
You guys
felt-
made it seem like it was so much heavier.
You see what I
That was according to my back and his back.
So we got $520-ish.
$520 in wire
And the transformer.
and the transformer.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
How much
And
was just
then-
the transformer?
The transfer, you got $9.15 for the transformer.
Oh!
So maybe we should have spent the
Should have left that.
I don't know, maybe like I could have got the grinder out and hacked away
Yeah.
at it and made another $20 or $30.
They, even though it was mostly copper with like steel in it, they called it a low grade motor. So.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to buy all the small gauge stuff for $550.
Yeah. Or at least the lugs.
Well, and we had a little bit of
Or
fun.
lugs, right?
Yeah, and we had fun.
We had a little bit of fun, so it was worth it.
Good. Okay, now that all of the wire is out of the boat, we need to prep our electrics cabinet to take all of course, the new Victron equipment and our chargers and inverters and all that fun jazz. And it's nowhere near ready for us to do that. In fact, I'll show you a picture here of what it looks like. It's kind of a train wreck on the inside, and we're gonna have to take all this other equipment out and boards and what have you. So after we do that, it's gonna look like this. So now that all that's done, we have to make some mounting surfaces. And to do that, I'm going to use marine gray plywood and cover it in some gel coat just to give ourselves some solid mounting surfaces to put all of this equipment in. Kind of looks like this when we're done, but I'll show you how it works. I'm going to use a neutral gel coat instead of a white. The reason for that is that neutral gel coat doesn't have anything in it, and white gel coat already has pigment in it. And I'd like to get something in a darker gray. And to do that, I'm going to use this liquid pigment, okay? One thing I really like about using gel coat for finish work or lightweight fairing or anything like that is that you can pre-mix it. For example, if you're going to do a thickener, you can pre-mix it with some Cabasil, and then when you catalyze it, it's ready to go. You're not trying to mix and catalyze all at the same time like you would with epoxy. Same way with color. So if I mix this gray, I can mix this up with a paddle. I've got completely color congruent gel coat, and then as I need it for little projects here and there, I can just add the MEKP based on the volume of gel that I need for that project, and well, there you go. Then it's a much quicker, easier, consistent solution. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of time now, mix everything up. I've got a lid that'll snap on it, of course, to keep the air out of it, and yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. All right, Josh. You want to turn to your right? Because I've got the bundle of wire I need to go in first. Just... All right.
All right, now get some better lighting on that shit. Let's see what it looks like.
All right, do you unplug me? And then there was light.
Boom.
Power, here we come. Why am I taking it all out, you ask? Well, there isn't enough slots, so I have to add another distributor on. So, we're gonna rework it. And when you're trying to fit stuff in this small of a space, kind of it's a work in progress most of the time. So, we've had to install and uninstall a couple things to make sure everything fits just the way we want it. Alright, so here's the plan. We originally had a Lynx shunt for the 48 volt here, and then a 4-post distribution for heavy gauge cable. Then we had a 12 volt distribution and a 12 volt Lynx shunt, and we just need way more 48 because the 3 inverters and all the big cabling, we just need more space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap all this out. Lynx distributor, I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit. We've got 90-degree terminals for the incoming that goes over here on the right. Then I'm going to put a distributor, 48 volt, attached to another distributor, 48 volt, and a 12 volt distributor here. Then I'm going to move the Lynx shunt up to where the 12 volt batteries are, because I have a power in up there that looks very similar to this distributor, except there's no indicators and there aren't circuit boards and fuses and what have you in there. It's just a power in where we collect all the power from the batteries, and then we will measure with the shunt the incoming and outgoing power through the DC negative. We're just going to move that up top and just have a connector that runs, or a cable, 4-aught cable that runs from the positive and negative up to that, just relocated, like a remote shunt. Doesn't all have to be together. But it will look kind of cool because it won't fill up the entire space. But we're packing it in tight. There isn't a whole lot more room in here. Well, that's not going anywhere. I need to take measurements of this guy. This has got a little bit different deal. It's bent out. This is the mounting plate. And you can get a little slop. You can move this side by side, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Kind of wedges in. And I prefer to have it centered so it doesn't stick out either side. So 8 1/8. The box is 8 1/2. It does kick out a little bit of heat. You can get it up so there's more clearance for wires and stuff to come out the bottom. That would be best. So I think I'm going to put it just to the right side, or line up at the right side over here of this cutout, maybe just over just a skosh. And then I just want to leave it enough room at the top that I can hang it, and it looks like it's about 3/4 inch overlap. So if I come down from the ceiling, let's say 1.5 inches, then I'll be able to get up there and drop it down, and there'll be a gap like this, a little bit of airflow, and we'll have plenty of room to work from the bottom. So you can see it's nothing terribly fancy. Neither of these are. They're just these kind of rough together pieces hanging off. So nothing fancy, just a rough mock-up. All right, so this one is gonna fit down in this spot right here and hold this isolation transformer. And then this ground bar right here is going to be supported by this tray that I'll show you here in just a second. But see if I can put this up here so you can see what's going on. Okay. All right. Need a little bit more of a notch so it can go this direction. So the supports on the bottom are here just to keep this from dropping, because this piece of equipment weighs, I think it weighs like 75 pounds. This is here, not that I need this to enclose it, but I will open up a slight gap for air ventilation, but I'm trying to protect it in case anything happens here. It's going to prevent splashing on this side of this piece of equipment, because there is some plumbing that runs through here. They're drains, they're low pressure, but just in case. All right, so I need to bring this back another 3/4 inch. Okay. All these being rough cuts are fine because I'm going to even everything out with 60 grit. And if this was finished carpentry, I would be doing something way nicer. However, by the time I get all this put together and it gets gel coated and gets put in the space, you won't see or be able to appreciate any of those higher quality finished carpentry things. So, all right, that fits good. I'm happy with that. So this see that fits back in here, right up against the wall. I've got that notched out. I got the supports here that I'm holding up, so I'll be able to epoxy it and screw it to this bulkhead that's right here underneath, and then just glue it here, because unfortunately this wall is only 3/4 of an inch thick maybe. So all right, that is number one. Second thing I got to do is I need a ground bar and a place to put all of this. So I built this little tray. I want to put a lid on here if I can to kind of hide it, just to make it look nice, since everything else in here is, you can see that is all textured gel that I did everywhere. So I'm trying, sorry about the shaky, I'm trying to get this held up here. Just up in this corner like this. I think that's nice. That ought to work. Perfect. Okay, I'll round that corner so it slides back in there a little bit. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So now it comes down to me sanding everything and then drilling and actually screwing the stuff together, because it's just held together with hopes, dreams, and a little bit of super glue. And then yeah, then before the end of the day, I'll put one coat on the backside so I can let that cure out, and then I'll flip it over to first thing tomorrow morning, and I'll mix some gel up with quite a bit of MEKP. I'll jump up to a little higher percentage for catalyzation. That'll make it kick, and then I'll be able to scuff it down and create that textured look. And from the roller that I use, kind of makes it, well, it kind of gives it like a sharp stucco-y feel. And as soon as you just knock it down with a little bit of grit, it kind of gives a nice textured look. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. And then, gosh, what's next? Pulling the shore power cord in and getting a shore power hooked up. Because as soon as I can put all this stuff together and temp into a temporary box, I'll be able to actually run real lights in the boat instead of dragging extension cords everywhere. That's the plan. So here we go. All right, after a lot of work, where we're at now is I'm gonna kind of take a break and give you a I don't know, a status update about where we're at and what this equipment is, and well, why we've put it in here. So to start off with, we've got 348 volt 5,000 watt Quattro. These are inverter chargers, which takes our 48 volt power and converts it into AC power. So of course we can run all of our appliances and plug things in and charge our phones and all of that fun stuff. Now, this next box here is an auto transformer, and this cool auto transformer actually takes this power and converts it so we can use it as like a 60-phase split phase. I'll talk about all that in a future video when we get down into the nitty-gritty of how the system works and the wiring and all of that. But this then routes to our main panel so that we can turn everything on and on with our breakers. This cool board that we built has all of our charge controllers. We tentatively have 10 MPPT charge controllers, and then on the right side over here we've got some 48 to 12 volt DC to DC converters. That takes our 48 volt power out of our 48 volt distribution you see right here and pumps it into our 12 volt distribution so that we can run all of our 12 volt legacy items that are on the boat. This right here is a breaker panel. This breaker panel takes all the power from the solar panels, routes it through a breaker so that we can turn things on and off, and then routes them to our charge controller so that we can charge our batteries. So the final thing we've got in here is our isolation transformer, which of course protects the boat from corrosion or stray current and all of that coming in off of the dock. I'm waiting on some information on this. This is supposed to work within our system, but they're not quite clear. So we're going to come back to this when we come back to this cabinet, and hopefully we'll have information we need at that point, and then we can dive right back in. You can see all the other cool stuff that's going to go in here, and we'll walk you through how everything gets put together. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much to our patrons for making this happen. And thank you, Battleborn, for sponsoring all this equipment and our 12 volt stuff and making these videos possible.